Introduction. Ibn al-Nafis is one of the most popular Muslim scholars. He is one of the greatest scientists during the period of the golden era of Muslim. He was a famous physician and researcher. After that, Ibn al-Nafis discovered causes of several diseases and described the blood circulation in the human body in detail. Ibn al-Nafis belonged to an Arab family and was born in the years 1213 near Damascus. Ibn al-Nafis studied in Damascus under the physician Adawar and went to Egypt to teach her on Nasri Hospital in Cairo. After getting his early education, he became interested in studying medicine. He was studied medicine for more than 10 years in the Nuri Hospital in Damascus, Syria. The discovery of the blood circulatory system is Ibn al-Nafis' major contribution to medicine. Besides his medical contribution, he works on the Islamic religious discipline, notably a short account of the mythology of Hadith, which introduced a more rational and logical classification for the science of Hadith. If you want to know more about the Ibn al-Nafis, so let's go to the next presenter.
Alright, now let's talk about biography Ibn al-Nafis. His name is Ala ad-Din Abu al-Hasan Ali al-Hazam al-Qarshi ad-Dimashqi. We call him as Ibn al-Nafis. He was a greatest Arab physician and scholar of the Shafi'i sect in fiqh and Sharia. Ibn al-Nafis lived in a small town near Damascus in Syria. Later also, when he was 23 years old, he emigrated to Egypt to further their practice and spend the rest of his life. He born in 1213 AD and died in 1288 AD in Egypt. Ibn al-Nafis lived in the 13th century, a time when the Muslim world is riven by political strife and chaos. Initially, Baghdad, Damascus, and Cairo were among the most important cities. But throughout the 12th and 13th century, Damascus and Cairo replaces Baghdad as the major hubs of science and civilization. This is because the relentless western march of Genghis Khan Mongol army had devastated the royal capital of Baghdad and murdered millions of people. From the first time the Mongol attacked and occupied Islamic territory in Baghdad, Syria and Egypt were spared from the Mongol atrocities. But a few years later, the rising Mamluk Empire of Egypt and Syria still was under continual threat from the Mongol during the reign of Sultan al-Zahir Baybar and Sultan al-Mansur Qalawun. At the beginning, Ibn al-Nafis' early education in the field of literature, fiqh and hadith in him Syria. When he was 16 years old, he continued his education in the field of medicine at the Medical College Hospital, as now Bimaristan an-Nuri, located in Damascus. Ibn al-Nafis' intellectual and academic blossomed in Damascus, driven also by Ayyubid rulers placing a high importance on science and medicine in Damascus. Indirectly, recognition Damascus as a center of excellence in medical knowledge during this era. As a medical student in Damascus, Ibn al-Nafis received his education in a scientific setting with famous instructor, which is first, Aisyah Radiuddin Abu al-Hajjaj Yusuf ibn Hidra al-Rahibi in the field of surgery. Second, Muhaddab ad-Din Abdul ar-Rahim ibn Ali, better known as Ad-Dakhwa, in the field of ophthalmology. And last, Imran al-Israeli, main assistant Ad-Dakhwa and physician in Damascus. Next, in 1236 AD, when al-Nafis was 23 years old, he emigrated to Egypt, where he spent the rest of his life. In Egypt, he furthered their practice at An-Nasri Hospital, and soon after, he was appointed as chief physician in An-Nasri Hospital. Later also, he became the personal physician of the great Mamluk Sultan Baybar, a famous king of Egypt in this era. Furthermore, in 1285 AD, when al-Nafis was 74 years old, he became chief of medicine at Al-Mansuri Hospital in Egypt. Ibn al-Nafis did not marry because of his intense involvement in the pursuit of knowledge. Ibn an-Nafis, also a novelist and wrote so many books. His most famous book is Commentary on Anatomy in Abyssinia Canaan. This book contained the first description of the blood circulation. He is famous for being the first physician who subsequently explained the early comprehension of the pulmonary circulation. Indirectly, proved the theory of Claudius Galen, the Greek physician in the 2nd century, is untrue. Because of this, he got title Father of Circulatory Physiology. Although Ibn an-Nafis was the first physician to describe about the pulmonary circulatory system, but after his death, his name began to be forgotten by society for nearly 400 years. However, in 1924 AD, an Egyptian physician, Dr. Muhammad al-Tatawi, discovered the first manuscript of Ibn an-Nafis in Berlin Library. This manuscript is Commentary on Anatomy in Abyssinia Canaan. Because of this discovery, name of Ibn an-Nafis became famous among European physicians, indirectly proving the theory of an-Nafis was put forward earlier before William Harvey. Being a great physician, Ibn an-Nafis was also a philosopher, linguist, theologian, novelist, and even a scholar of Shafi'i sect.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, now I will share about analysis of the writing Ibn an-Nafis. Next, who is Ibn an-Nafis? Minus the statement given above, we note that Ibn an-Nafis was a leading specialist in medicine, surgery, physiology, anatomy, biology, Islamic studies, law, and philosophy. Moreover, he had a broad vision and creative mind in his work, with such an advantage succeeded in making him a personal doctor to great people like Sultan Baibars and political leaders. Third, not only as a medical professional, but he also a lawyer Shafi'i who studied law, justice, literature, and theology, also teaching too. Fourth, not to be outdone, Ibn an-Nafis also, like other Islamic scholars, wrote and produced various books throughout his life. Okay, now, among his writings entitled The Comprehensive Book in Medicine. The complete book for this work is known as Al-Shamil fi at-Tib. The book covers 300 volumes, but he was only able to supply the best 80 only before his death. It is to provide a complete summary of scientific science in the Islamic world. However, a large number of volumes have been lost around the world, which is why the Egyptian scholar Yusuf Zidan wanted to rearrange the existing manuscript to be placed in the world's most comprehensive libraries. Okay, next slide. Last but not least, what I get from Ibn an-Nafis is that he has explained the cardiovascular theory more accurately than Galen theory. Dear friends, all of you can see the display of this picture. In this picture, there are two systems, pulmonary system and systemic system. What I want to share today is an example I took in a modern biological dictionary book. First, pulmonary circulation. You all can see part heart and lung because meaning of pulmonary circulation is blood circulation between the heart and lungs. The circulation of non-oxygenated blood from the whole body to the heart and lungs, and then absorbs all the oxygen in the lungs and send back to the heart and then pump throughout the body. Systemic circulation. The circulatory system that carries oxygen and nutrients moves from the heart to the rest of the body and enters the heart bag and becomes oxygen-free blood to be sent to the lungs through the pulmonary system.
Next, I will share about the contributions of Ibn an-Nafis. First and foremost, contribution of Ibn an-Nafis in the field of campaign against the epidemic. Ibn Nafis, along with other Egyptian doctors, launched a campaign against the epidemic which did not know the victims either children or adults. The epidemic spread for 6 months and finally it was successfully controlled by Ibn Nafis. With this success, Ibn Nafis was called Al-Misri by the people of Egypt.
Secondly, contribution of build a hospital.
When he reached the age of 74, he was commissioned by Sultan Qalawun to build a new hospital in Cairo. He supervised the construction according to medical needs regarding the parts of the hospital, ward, pharmacy, library, waiting room, and special rooms for doctors. Apart from that, he maintained the concept of teaching hospital. The hospital was inaugurated by Sultan Qalawun and named it Al-Mansuri Hospital. Ibn Nafis was a physician that explained the basic principles of pulmonary circulation. Actually, the study of Ibn Nafis is a continuation of the discovery of many scholars before him as early as the time before century. That is when ancient Egypt, ancient Greece and Alexandria before continued in the Roman era, especially during the Galen era until the time of William Harvey. Ibn Nafis also became the first person to challenge Galen's force theory. During the golden age of Islam, his knowledge varied, but his famous work was in the human body as he was considered the first to describe the pulmonary circulation of blood, which carries the oxygenated blood away from the right ventricle to the lungs and return oxygenated blood to the left atrium and ventricle of the heart. He contradicted the previous explanations which suggest that the blood was consumed by the body, which led to him being described as the father of circulatory physiology. Ibn Nafis also contributions on other medicals. In the field of surgery, he was very interested in heart and throat surgery. To further advance this field of surgery, Ibn Nafis advised that comparative surgery be done by performing it on animals to help understand more deeply about the human body. Ibn Nafis was also one of the few physicians at the time who support the view that the brain, rather than the heart, was the organ responsible for thinking and sensation. Ibn Nafis also postulated that nutrients for heart are extracted from the coronary arteries. Moreover, Ibn Nafis also contributes on procession, metabolism, philosophy, urology, and lungs.
As a conclusion, we can conclude that Ibn al-Nafis made great contribution to medicine in 11th century, especially in the matter of the heart. He was named the second Ibn Sina for lecturing analyzing the book Al-Kanun fi al-Tib written by Ibn Sina. Next, Ibn al-Nafis' medical books were later translated into Latin and European. Among the Western medical figures who refer to this book are William Harvey and Severus. Ibn al-Nafis is most famous for being the first physician to describe the pulmonary circulation. Capillary and coronary circulation will form the basis of circulatory system, for which he is regarded as the father of circulatory physiology and one of the greatest physiologists in history. After that, Ibn al-Nafis' book entitled Al-Shamil fi al-Tib has 300 volumes. However, his book was not completed due to his death. The manuscript is still in Damascus. He was most famous work in Mujaz al-Kanun, in which there are several comments about it written afterward. The very famous book that Ibn al-Nafis wrote is Mujaz al-Kanun. This book explains and complements on one of the famous books on medicine, Al-Kanun, written by Avicenna. Al-Mujaz book show the skill Ibn al-Nafis classifying his medical knowledge and writing it down using a plain, rigorous and orderly and a lucid, concise but the precise and to the point style. That's all from us. Thank you.